This video is for a client that called tonight with questions about a water loss. In a nutshell, pipe burst, flooded their first floor, came from the ceiling. We haven't been there yet to do a preliminary, but they called the insurance carrier, not knowing what to do. The insurance carrier sent out a large brand to do the mitigation. So we're putting this together to educate the homeowner about what we've seen in the past related to some of the mitigation efforts from this mitigator. We had a neighbor in my old neighborhood that reached out to us because his wife was concerned that mitigation had been done and that the mold was going to grow in her house, or was growing in her house. So I walked over, entered the door, and this is what I saw. Let's put this full screen. So we notice this is in the kitchen area of the house. We've got flooring being removed. We've got the source of the water, which was behind the sink. These pipes freeze quite a bit because there's not a lot of insulation. Water had come out, flooded that whole first floor. And if you notice, all that was removed related to drywall was this 2 square feet. And the homeowner had been removing the flooring because the homeowner was starting to do the work so they can move back into their house. Immediately, I was very concerned. IICRC has definitive standards when it comes to mitigation. One of them is wherever there's moisture to do 2-foot flood cuts. The reason we do 2-foot flood cuts is partially because the standard is 18 inches above where there was moisture to remove any type of material that mold can grow on. Secondarily, a sheet of drywall is 4 feet tall. So you break it in half, it's super efficient. You can restore that area or replace drywall fairly quickly. So we just resort to 2 foot. So in this case, obviously, flooring was being removed, carpet was still there, no flood cuts. Only thing that was removed was this drywall. What we do immediately is before we take on any water loss project, we get what we call a protocol, is a diagram or schematic from somebody who's licensed to set it up that directs mitigation efforts. It's an unbiased third-party look at, what needs to be done. It's not the carrier who has an incentive to save money. It's not the contractor who has the incentive to make more money by removing additional things. This is an unbiased, licensed professional that will say how it needs to be done. They will supervise what needs to be done. And at the end, they will test for moisture. They will test for contaminants. And if all the tests are passed and all the standards were followed, then they give what we call a clearance. So in this case, the protocol looks like this. And we're going to go into just looking at, there was water in the first floor, went throughout the first floor. So we know that by definition, we should have flood cuts here. Mitigator did not remove any of that. So the IEP, or indoor environmental professional, came in, did all the tests, looked at all the evidence, and this is the protocol they determined. So if you look at it, anything in pink should be flooring that was removed. That was obviously being done. What wasn't being done is the 2-foot flood cuts. And the reason we do that is mold takes 3 components to grow: heat, food, and usually anything organic is food. So the paper backing on drywall, the paper on insulation, even on studs, sill walls, those are all organic. So heat, moisture, food. So they said that anything around this pink area needs to be flood cut. That includes the drywall behind the cabinetry. What she noticed that we didn't notice in our preliminary is water had gone through into the master closet and into the master bath. It's a very detailed diagram. It literally is 42 pages of just information. You get up into all of these. And this is a very detailed outline of what needs to be done in every aspect of that mitigation in order to get clearance. So after mitigation was done and received clearance, this is what it looked like. If you notice, carpet was removed. That's organic, right? 18 inches. And then we've got 2-foot flood cuts, been cleaned, scrubbed, HEPA filter or HEPA vacuum. Here's the HEPA vacuum. This is not clearance. This is not post-clearance. This is actually pre-clearance. But we're looking at documenting what was removed so that we can demonstrate to the insurance carrier what needs to be restored. So obviously we have some water in here that was cleaned up prior to clearance. And then we have all of the insulation is removed, drywall, anything that can yield growth has been removed or cleaned. Studs can be cleaned. The protocol determined that the tile needed to be removed. Not for us to question. We don't have the license to determine that. The protocol owner does. And then obviously we had to flood cut into the laundry room. They requested that the tile be removed, and this is done properly. This house did receive clearance. One of the things that concern the homeowner is in accordance with the original mitigation, the cost to replace or restore that property that the carrier assigned was $35,000. Homeowner did not know how they were going to be able to do that. They didn't know how to fight it. But really the first problem was it wasn't mitigated properly. And so we came in, did the protocol, mitigated it properly, submitted all the documentation to the carrier, and the final estimate for this using the software that the carrier uses, it's called Xactimate, was $191,000. Now we are certified appraisers and umpires. So just like when you sell or buy a house, you have an unbiased appraiser determine the value of that house. An IAUA certified appraiser umpire does the same thing, but for insurance claims. So when there's a pricing dispute for a claim, we get called. I'm also a licensed general contractor. I'm a licensed roofer. I'm IICRC in water, fire, mold. And we do this for a living, obviously. I'm a licensed mold remediation contractor. I'm a licensed public adjuster and a licensed insurance adjuster. In Texas, public adjusters can't be general contractors on the same project. Instead of the homeowner having that $35,000, we made sure that everything was documented, so they got proper reimbursement for the work performed. This is actually going through the appraisal process, but at this time, the house is restored. They're back into their home. They don't have to wait for the dispute to be resolved. We definitely want to make sure our homeowners are taken care of. This is a good case study. Thank you for watching. G3, be grateful, be generous, be good. G3 knows? Now you know.